Mike Boyd from Wake 9 here, and welcome to another video. We are going to be talking about how to weight your boat, how to make a great wave. And this is going to take me probably about 4 episodes. This is also going to focus on surf system boats. I did a video a while back on how to weight a V-drive boat. It's a lot different now that we're weighting the boat level. We're not listing. So the episodes that I have planned, this first one, we're going to be talking about how to gauge and reproduce the perfect wave. In other words, how to measure the wave so that you can go back to that same wave every time you go out, because that's important. We're also gonna go and look on the water and look at the wave and talk about what you look for to make a great wave. And I'm not gonna just tell you this is what Robert or Wake 9 thinks is a great wave. I'm gonna tell you about various aspects that people prefer. How do you weight your boat or make adjustments to dial that in? In another episode, we're gonna talk about why you always need a few 100 pounds of lead. I get sometimes people criticize us and say, man, you know, there's so much weight in these boats, the stock system, you don't need lead. But I'm gonna tell you why I'm always gonna have a little bit. I think that's gonna be a great episode. Lastly, I'm just gonna give you a bunch of tips that I've learned over the last 10 years of pulling all kinds of riders. Okay, so before we get into how to measure and how to gauge the best wave, I want to give you some history, because I think it's really important to understand how I got to this place and how I came up with the methodologies or the tools that we use to measure the best wave, and also why I think this part of it, the measuring, is the most important. If you're a longtime subscriber, then you know we did the Endless Wave Tour for several years. We went across the country and did up to 5 events in a year. We did this for several years. This all started back in 2010. We didn't call it the Endless Wave Tour, but we had the West Coast Wake Surf Open. Now, when we did events, back then in those days, boats were known to only make a good wave on one side. You ordered it with a different transmission. So you had a boat that the prop rotated one way, and that one made a good wave on the regular side. And then you had a boat that the prop rotated the other direction, and that made a good wave on the goofy side. Back in those days, when you had a surf competition, was that you would have 2 boats to pull the competition, and you would weight them perfectly. So you would go out, dial in that wave and get it right, put the lead all in the right spot, and then you would figure out the judges and everybody, they sit exactly in this spot, and everybody stays there. And you know, you would test the wave, and then there was your wave. And then you would have another boat. So when you would pull the regular people, then you would change boats and pull the goofy people. It was hard to always get 2 boats. It was also hard sometimes to get a boat with the different transmissions. One wave would be good and the other wave would be okay. And it was almost always the regular wave was great and the goofy wave was subpar. And this really bothered me because I have 6 kids and 5 of them are goofy and my wife is goofy. It was really important to me. The other thing was, the very first competition we had 2 boats. 2 Taiga RZ2s, this is in 2010. This boat made a good wave on both sides. So we didn't need a different transmission. However, we still wanted to have them both set up because you don't want to have to switch sides in the middle of the contest, because every time you move weight, then you have to move back, and the wave might not be as good as the other time. So it was so important that the wave was consistent through the entire event. So that first year we had 2 boats, but one broke, so we had to go to 1, and it just wasn't consistent. 2 boats is a hassle. It's hard to get a sponsor to get 2 boats there. There's just so many reasons we want to do this with 1 boat. But to list the boat from side to side and to make that consistent is extremely difficult. So we were on this mission to do this, and this took us a few years. So basically we started working on how do we transfer the weight of the boat from side to side fast. And we did this on several different boats. We used different pumps, and we learned how to connect pumps directly from bag to bag to move weight really fast, and we got that part down. So in 2013, we had in our boat set up with these 2 reversible Ballast King pumps. They were prototype Ballast King pumps. They pumped about 900 gallons per hour, reversible, that you can just turn 2 pumps on at once to move weight like this or move weight to the other side, literally in like a minute and a half. So we got the problem of moving the weight very fast from side to side, and it was good, but it wasn't quite perfect. And the reason it wasn't quite perfect, well, timers suck. All ballast systems that give you a percentage that are based on a timer, they just suck. It doesn't work. They come out of alignment for a lot of reasons. So we had to come up with a way, how do we measure exactly how much weight we have in each bag so that we can reproduce that wave perfectly. And we came up with a way. We created a sensor that went underneath the bag that helped us determine the exact amount of weight in the bag. So now we can move the weight real fast, and we were able to measure exactly how much weight that doesn't depend on timers, it depends on actual weight in the bag. When we did this, it worked. In 2014, we were able to do an event where we could go boom, boom, side to side, and it was consistent the whole day. Great regular wave, great goofy wave. Dennis came up, shook my hand, said, "You did it, it worked." This doesn't apply on the water, like when you go out every day, because you don't have like judges that you perfectly sit everywhere. This is the big takeaway from everything that I just said, and this is what I'm getting to. It is all about pitch and roll and displacement or draft. Those are the three measurements that you take, pitch and roll and draft, to measure and reproduce the perfect wave. Even if you have the most accurate sensors in your bags so that you know to 0.5% how full your front bag is versus your left rear and your right rear bags, that's still not good enough. Why? Let me explain. I have my Barbie wake boat here, my Barbie wake surf boat. See? So here we have Barbie's wake surf boat. Now, here the boat is on the water, and when a boat is at rest with nobody in it, let's take Barbie out. When a boat is at rest with nobody in it, you know, no gear, no nothing, you can see it's level this way, and it's level this way. Pitch is this angle. That's maybe a 12 or 13 degree pitch up on the bow, so you call that a positive 12 pitch, okay? And then roll is this way, okay? Pitch, roll. Now, what is draft? Well, that's easy. So what draft is you can see here that the water on the back of the boat, you see where it comes to? Okay, now let's put Barbie in here. Now, you might not have noticed, but it went down just a little bit, but you can also see the pitch went down. The bow of the boat went a little in the water. Barbie's had a few too many tacos. I have these little lead weights in these pill boxes here. Okay, so we're gonna put some lead on that side and some lead on this side. This is old school right here. Now look at that. You see the water on the back of the boat? It's way up past what would be the swim deck. It's up there. And you can also see, look at the pitch. See how the pitch is up? So the draft is basically the measurement of how much water you're displacing. The easiest way to get a measurement there is where the water comes up to on the back of the boat. So on your boat, that might be the easiest way to measure that is how much water is it an inch or two above the swim deck, for instance. That's how you would measure draft. Now, why is this so important? The amount of ballast you have in your boat correlates to the wave you make, but it doesn't cause the wave you make. You can do a little Google research on, the difference between cause and correlation. So it correlates, but the cause is the hull, okay? It is all about the hull of the boat. It is about the shape of the hull of this boat that makes the wave. Now, there are other factors, like you should have 20 feet deep of water. If you have less than 20 feet, it will affect the wave, your speed and everything, but we're gonna leave that out for right now. Now, the other part of the wave, the other cause of it, is going to be your surf system with your tabs down, okay? But we're gonna leave that out of the equation right now because those are pretty static. You deploy them and you can adjust them. I pretty much leave mine. I like to adjust the pitch and hull to change my wave than playing with my tabs, but that's up to you. In the old days, you would list, which would cause that delayed convergence that would create a surf wave. Now we do a tab, and that causes the surf wave to happen, but now the boat is pretty much level, just a tiny bit of list, usually when you turn one on or off. How the hull plows through the water is the cause of that wave. So when we're plowing through the water, and the pitch is like this, versus like this, it's gonna make a big impact on the wave. When the boat is like this, you're usually gonna have a pushier wave, more power, but shorter. When the boat is flatter, you're usually gonna have a longer wave with not as much power. So the trick is, where is that pitch that gives you that wave that it's still plenty long, but has a lot of power? Okay, that's the trick. And it's all about pitch. So you can say, well, I get my best pushy wave when I'm about 70% of my weight in the front. Well, that really has nothing to do with it. And I'll tell you why. Okay, just take a fat guy and go put him in the bow, okay? And yeah, your percentage, it's all thrown off. Same thing on the side. Take a fat guy and he moves over to one side of the boat. Your percentage, it doesn't mean anything, okay? But what does mean everything is the pitch and the roll of this boat. That's it. You know, we started using clinometers in 2012. It's called a clinometer, and this is available for iOS and Android. Okay, it's called clinometer, and I'll you know, here's a detailed picture of it. One of the things you want to do when you have this app is you go into the settings, and there's a calculation setting, and it defaults to fast approximation. And what that means is that when you make changes to the pitch and roll, the bubble moves really fast. And that's not very good on the wave because you're always kind of moving. What you do is you change this calculation to high damp, and that smooths out that bubble. And that's what you want inside your boat. This is how you measure pitch and roll. No matter where people are sitting or what's going on in that day, if you measure your pitch and your roll and your draft, those three measurements, and you need to measure your draft from the same place every time, I guarantee you the next time you go out, unless there's something wrong with your surf system or something, if you use all those settings the same, your wave is going to be the same on the next day. You're going to be able to reproduce that. And if you have the same boat as a friend and you give him your pitch and roll and you guys measure it the same, he will get the same wave as you that you made that was great. And that's one of the benefits of this too, because you can share percentages. And like I said, then it's going to be like, well, that didn't work. He's going to go, well, did you have the big fat taco guy sitting in the corner or in the back or in the bow? He's going to say no. You say, well, that's why your wave didn't work. Well, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Pitch, roll, and draft. I know that there's probably a bit of, there are people that are watching that are going, I get it. You're just trying to sell me an auto wake and I don't really need that. And you know what? You may not want to use auto wake and you're going to stick with the percentages and stuff, and that's fine. I mean, I don't care. RJ and I were writing an application that did all of this, all the stuff that auto wake did. We just took forever to do it. You know, we started in 2012 and we're still working on it in 2017. And then Supra, we heard that they had this auto wake, which was doing all the same things, but better because they devoted engineers and resources to do it. And well, we went, well, that's where we're going. Because man, we love this stuff and that's what we wanted to be a part of. So when you're out there, especially right now, this is boat show season, and you're going out there, everybody's talking about their systems and stuff like that. In my opinion, every single boat should at least have pitch and roll on the gauge. You should be able to look at your dashboard, see what your pitch and roll is. You can send somebody to the back of the boat if you want and see where your draft is so you know for the next day you come out. So you might look at all this and say, dude, I want to make a great wave. I don't want to have to worry about that. Yeah, that's why we have promoted and we love auto wake. You know, you can just, for instance, watch a video of mine and I say, here are the settings I'm using, or you could just use the settings from the factory. They're pretty darn good. And it's always going to be great. And the reason why it works and it's just a turn it on and forget system is because, like I said, if your system uses profiles that say, I have 80%, 60%, 90%, or whatever that is, okay, that profile will reproduce where your weight is in your boat. But it's not going to reproduce or have anything to do with where the fat guy sits or where everybody, you know, moves when they're watching somebody and somebody moves over while you're riding and stuff. The auto wake system actually compensates for that. Constantly, it's doing it 100% of the time. And with those really fast pumps and those really reliable pumps, it moves water quickly to keep that pitch and roll where you want. I am crazy about making sure my wake is as clean, as beautiful, as pushy, as long as it can possibly be. I want the best damn wake on the lake. That is what I do when I go out on the water. And I'm telling you, about 75% of the time in 2018 and 95% of the time with the 2019 model boats, I flip on auto wake and go. And what's great is when we take on somebody, you know, and they come in our boat and they want to drive, I just, you know, set it, give them the wheel. It's that easy. And the only thing you have to really consider, You don't want auto wake to have to work too hard so that it empties, and it won't do that. It's very smart. You don't want it to take a lot of weight out of one side to compensate for a bunch of people. If too many people move to one side, just ask them to move. But the cool thing is you don't have to do anything. Just say, hey, can you move back over there? And the system's just gonna automatically compensate for it. But it also adjusts itself while it's sitting still. I know this has been a long video and we're just about done here. I'm just gonna give you one more little tidbit, is how big of a difference does 1 degree make? We go by half a degree, okay? 1 degree makes a lot of difference. And you wanna dial in your wave on a day when the water is flat, and then get those numbers, and then you can reuse them on days that are more choppy. But like for instance, we do -1 on the regular side and like a 3 degrees on the Goofy. And that actually is with no weight adjustment, just switching the ballast system, the tabs, that will create about a -1 on the regular and a 3 roll on Goofy without doing anything else, without changing any weight. And that is perfect. Now, if we roll over to 2 degrees on regular, then when we go to Goofy, it'll only be at about 2 and it'll be a little dirty. It'll be a little wash up on the lip, okay? And then also when you're over at -2 degrees on the regular, the wave will lose a little bit of its crispness. The lip won't be as good. Maybe lose a little bit of push. So half a degree is a big deal. Same thing with our pitch. We usually go about 9 degrees pitch. You can, some people, I'll go a little bit more, like as somebody who's bigger needs a little more push, I'll push it up to 9.5 or 10, and you can feel the difference. Same thing, if they want a little longer wave, I might bring them back to 8.5 or 8. Like Erica Sauce, she likes this, longer, shallower wave, so maybe I'm gonna bring that down a little bit, make some adjustments. So those little minor degrees are very important, and imagine trying that when you're just going off those percentages and you have no idea what the roll and the pitch are. I hope that my little Barbie boat was helpful. Cost me 25 bucks, and it even came with the tube. Have fun at the boat show. Make a good decision, buy the best boat that you think is gonna make you the best wave. And if you don't get one that has pitch and roll on the gauge, get your clinometer going on your phone. Trust me, it really helps. Can't wait to see you all this summer. And man, we got a video coming out shortly, giving you details about the Polar Bear 2020 in Tennessee. And man, are we excited about that. Have a good rest of the winter.